I'm not going to cover this whole video because it's obviously quite long, but I'm just going to excerpt it. Um, this is an incel who was diagnosed with Asperger's, which is now called autism spectrum disorder, I think. And that being said, while there may be, certain behaviors that come along with that condition, where, for example, it's difficult to accept change, and they sometimes have a hard time relating to other people, um, and they have kind of emotional meltdowns sometimes. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a killer, right? Doesn't mean that they're going to go that far. It just means that some situations are difficult for them to emotionally process. But anyway, this guy was doing video blogs about he didn't understand why he couldn't get a date, basically. So he gets labeled the killer virgin, um, which can be confusing because it can kind of sound like he was killing virgins, but that's not the case. He felt like he was entitled to um, a girlfriend, that he should have gotten one because he feels like he's so good looking and he's so rich that he was entitled to have a girlfriend. However, this sounds like, and I don't know if he's going to get there or not because I'm only 17 minutes in. I'll give you just a few minutes of it and then I'll drop the link. It sounds to me like this is a fan of Andrew Tate. That this is the kind of crowd that would watch Andrew Tate. Or that he would have been on 4chan, 8chan, wherever they do it. Because there are incel forums. And this is another reason that, when Vosh went into his tirades about we need to have more sympathy for incels, I stopped following him. I was out at that point. Because women don't owe you shit. You have to work on your own personality. You can't be mean to people all the time. You can't be going online doing stupid shit. Demanding views. Demanding that we share your content and that we prop up your issues. No, folks. Like, you earn a following, you earn a date.
You make me feel jealous. This is the reason why I hate the world. This is getting too out of hand. I can't go anywhere anymore without seeing these young couples getting jealous and, having them remind me of what I'm lacking in life.
Narcissistic people are extremely hypersensitive to criticism and rejection and can become angry, spiteful, and violent towards anyone whom they perceive as mistreating them or not giving them the special treatment they feel they deserve. This is not only due to the narcissist's fragile self-esteem, but also because they feel they are special and unique and should therefore be accepted, welcomed, and admired by all those they interact with. Undeniably, this seemed to be the case for young Elliot. He was still very intent on having a girlfriend and thought that becoming rich would make him more attractive to girls. Using the monthly allowance from his parents, he spent this on high-end clothes, including brands such as Armani and Hugo Boss.
Right now I'm wearing my Hugo Boss shirt. It's one of my favorite button-down shirts. This is a shirt I wore to the premiere of The Hunger Games. I look fabulous. And yeah, I did walk on the red carpet on that premiere. It was quite an experience indeed.
He strived to look of extreme wealth and felt that he was superior to all other men when doing so. He even spent $700 on lottery tickets and took multiple trips to Arizona to purchase them, but failed to win. He felt hopeless about his life, and it was around this time when Elliot considered the idea of carrying out a deadly act of revenge. He deemed it the Day of Retribution.
It's truly a beautiful day. But, as I've always said, a beautiful environment is the darkest hell if you have to experience it all alone. And sadly, I've been alone for a very long time. I do everything I can.
You know, guys, look, I mean, I get that some of you are socially awkward, but it's probably not a good idea to do video blogs talking about how you're lovesick and you need somebody right now, and you seem unhappy at all times, or mad at all times. That's not an attractive quality to women, you know. And if you're trying to actually become a ladies' man, which apparently this dude wanted to be a ladies' man, probably not a good idea to be scary. Not a good idea to be scary online.
To appear attractive to you. I dress nice. I'm sophisticated. I'm magnificent. I have a nice car, a BMW. Well, it's nicer than 90% of the people at my college. You know, I'm polite. I'm the ultimate gentleman. And yet, you girls, you never give me a chance. I don't know why. You know, I put a lot of effort into dressing nice. These sunglasses here, they were $300. Giorgio Armani. So I'll put them on. See? I'm the guy you should be going for, not those obnoxious slobs you love so much. I don't know why you're not attracted to me. I don't know what you don't see in me. But I'll make sure you all pay for it.
Elliot's speech and mannerisms are similar to that of individuals with developmental delays, specifically autism spectrum disorder. The dialect can be recognized as monotone and flat, but in some cases it can be exaggerated with the use of very formal vocabulary, as is the case with Elliot.
You've deprived me of love.
Well, yeah, because there's also this thing that they want to, I mean, it's already established earlier in the video that he also has narcissism. So there's this whole thing going on where he needs to try and assert dominance. I'm better than you. I own better things than you. I'm really smart. You know, I've gone to all these colleges, which apparently he was floating around several colleges because he couldn't get it done, right? But the worst thing of all is going online and just whining and bitching and moaning that you can't get a girl. That, I mean, now you've like put picture proof out there that most girls are not going to want to be with you because you look like the kind of guy that's going to beat us up and be an absolute drag to be around because you're just whining and complaining the entire time and bitching and moaning about other people. I just don't see how this would be a winning strategy at all.
It's an affection all my life. And that's a declaration of war. If it's war you want, then war you shall have.
Adults with autism spectrum disorder sometimes speak and behave in a manner that mimics a favorite TV or movie character. Elliot seemed to have been doing this as he appeared to be impersonating the words and facial expressions of an evil villain. It would later be confirmed that Elliot was diagnosed with Asperger's disorder, which is now known as autism spectrum disorder. but in no way does this correlate with his actions.
I'm going to show you all a short little tour of this college town called Isla Vista. Every time I drive through this place, I am overcome with rage. Here it is. I'm approaching a street called Del Playa. So many beautiful girls walking around here. But they would never give me a chance. See, look at that one. I just passed one.
Could you imagine if the dude just chilled, had a relaxed face, and hung out in these college bars and just looked like a normal person and didn't look like he wanted to fucking kill people all the time? Like, he has such an intense expression on his face at all times because he's so angry that he's already made the assumption that no girl is going to talk to him, no girl is going to like him. He's already made this assumption. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point.
Here we go. Look at this. Groups of hot young sluts who would just reject me. And look at these douchebags right here. These assholes, these obnoxious little slobs. Those are the kind of guys that girls like instead of magnificent gentlemen like myself. Hold on, let me check if I'm getting some good footage. Am I?
To fuel his rage, he would also scour the streets of Isla Vista at night, hoping to find couples and beautiful young women to chastise from his car.
You're an asshole.
This further indicates Elliot's sense of grandiosity, as he likely felt a surge of confidence while stating the insults. It's noteworthy that he makes these comments from the safety of his car, rather than confronting the ongoers face to face, giving him the feeling that he had the upper hand.
Here I am, Elliot Roger. Beautiful, magnificent gentleman. Though the girls around this town don't see it. This world does not make sense.
This revulsion for people in relationships compelled Elliot to share his thoughts in online forums, one of them being bodybuilding.com, where he writes, "It's been my life's struggle to get a beautiful white girl." Along with this, authorities located several other posts written by Elliot that continue to expound his fury for women, such as "Women don't deserve rights," and "They are evil, sadistic beasts who whore themselves out to degenerate men and ignore the men who actually deserve them." There were about 28 pages filled with similar rhetoric, each post more hostile than the last.
Look, that's the house I got beat up at when I walked in on a party. That was about almost a year ago now.
Were you invited to the party? Did you know the party host? Were you actually invited to be there?
The beating that Elliot referred to happened during the summer of 2013. While at a house party, Elliot was jumped by a group of college kids before being pushed off of a 10-foot balcony. He stated that they were trying to hurt him without reason, but the truth was later revealed that Elliot had attempted to shove multiple girls off of the balcony after making gestures to imitate shooting a gun towards the partygoers. A group of young men intervened, and of course, Elliot lied about what happened to his family and the police. Once again, he was furious that the girls didn't take an interest to him and violently retaliated. The violent party event would be Elliot's last straw.
See, guys like this. Oh, wait, no. Not guys like those. Those guys were ugly as fuck, but... You see, look here. A house party. Beautiful girls talking with their frat boys.
Seriously, I can't even. He spends his entire all of his videos talking about this kind of bullshit. Like, just jerk off, son. Like, let off some steam at home. What's wrong with you?
I hate them all. They think they're better than me. They'll never accept me as one of them. Those girls would never go for me.
During the later months of 2013, Elliot received 2 new roommates, students at UCSB, who he greatly disliked. Their arguments seemed to be a daily occurrence, and Elliot even reported one of the young men to the local authorities for stealing his candles. The 2 friends found Elliot to be strange and obnoxious and planned to report him to their complex manager.
Yeah.
The tension would continuously rise, but unfortunately, the pair would eventually meet a cold and cruel fate.
The girls are not attracted to me. There's a major problem with that. A major problem.
You think so, huh?
That's a problem that I intend to rectify.
In preparation for the unforgettable day, it was discovered that Elliot read books on mass murderers and serial killers at the library, but would never actually take the literature home.
I will not let this fly. It's an injustice that needs to be dealt with.
He would also...
Can you imagine putting like crap content like this on your social media on like a daily basis or like a weekly basis? Just, I'm gonna whine and complain about the girls in my town. I'm gonna whine and complain about specific people that, you know, like, I mean, I get it if you want to vent once in a while. I do myself. I vent once in a while. But I can't imagine spending every waking moment focusing on this kind of bullshit on a daily basis. Like, seriously, just go jerk off, son.
research various torture equipment such as Spanish Inquisition torture devices, but it was later revealed in a recovered document just how far he was willing to go to attain his satisfaction. Following Elliot's chilling preparation, the day had finally come for the twisted mind to take his revenge.
Well, this is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity. Against all of you. Well, this is it. This is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution.
It's evident here that Elliot is bordering on delusion with this bizarre performance. It's possible that his off-putting personality, so to say, is exactly what ostracized him from his peers. But Elliot's vindictive persona would propel him to organize a horrific attack. Before his day of retribution, it was discovered that Elliot had sent a disturbing email to his parents, therapists, and acquaintances, entitled My Twisted World. This would later be known as Elliot's Manifesto, where he detailed his anger and frustrations toward the world, specifically women. Not only that, but the killer also went into chilling detail about what he really had planned for the vulnerable town of Isla Vista.
Minutes ago, I finally checked my email and I saw this letter. It's from Elliot Roger, who's a Santa Barbara City College student. It's 141 pages. So when you get to the end, which is where I went to immediately, page 134, it's a
141 goddamn pages? Holy shit, son. Oh my god. That's well, I mean, we already know you're insane. Like, you're not, yes, you've been diagnosed with Asperger's and narcissism, but this is also insanity. Like, this goes above just like a mental imbalance where, you know, you have some social challenges or something like that. This is criminally insane at this point.
very detailed attack they planned on taking in Isla Vista, including shooting people and driving in a car to intentionally run over pedestrians and then shoot himself.
You girls have never been attracted to me. I don't know why you girls aren't attracted to me. But I will punish you all for it. It's an injustice, a crime, because I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy. And yet you throw yourselves at all these obnoxious men instead of me, the supreme gentleman. I will punish all of you for it.
Elliot's maniacal laugh almost sounds forced, like he's an actor playing a part, and his smile is likely feigned. Fake smiles are one of the most common nonverbal lies in body language, and only includes the mouth compared to genuine smiles, which involve most of the face. Elliot also wrote that he planned to kill his younger half-brother Jazz and stepmother Sumaya. He accredited this decision to his hatred for how Sumaya would supposedly mistreat him, and even though he mentioned that he and his half-brother had grown closer over the previous year, he could not bear the thought of having someone else live the life that he wanted.
What are you doing, Jazz?
Elliot wrote that Sumaya would allegedly chastise him, saying that Jazz would go on to become a successful actor. He'd have lots of friends, whereas Elliot would not.
I'll be a god, exacting my retribution, and all those who deserve it. And you do deserve it, just for the crime of living a better...
Sumaya, I think it was earlier established. I think they said Sumaya was his dad's new wife after he divorced this dude's mom.
Your life than me. All you popular kids, you've never accepted me. All I've ever wanted was to love you and to be loved by you. I've wanted a girlfriend. I've wanted sex. I've wanted love, affection, adoration. You think I'm unworthy of it? That's a crime that can never be forgiven.
These thoughts are indicative of severe antisocial personality disorder. Based on the contents of the email, his desire for revenge and his willingness to harm others in such a callous and vicious manner indicates a complete lack of empathy and poor moral conscience. Although it was never expected that he would take his anger so far. Next, it would be uncovered that the original day of Elliot's retribution was previously set for April 26, 2014. This was due to the fact that he knew of his father's scheduled business trip, which guaranteed his absence. Elliot was sure he would be able to successfully complete the murders of his stepmom and stepbrother without worrying if he would have to kill his father. But 2 days before his arranged day of carnage, Elliot fell ill with a cold, and his dad arrived home from his trip earlier than expected. It seemed in Elliot's murderous mind that it wasn't of the right timing to commit his so-called revenge, as he so desperately wanted things to be perfect. He would then reset the date for May 24th, almost a month later. But instead, for an unverified reason, the horrifying incident would occur the night prior, perhaps suggesting that Elliot assumed his retribution would last into the early morning hours.
And in turn, I will deny all of you life. It's only fair. I hate all of you. Humanity is a disgusting, wretched, depraved species.
While unaware that his future plans would be unexpectedly put on hold, Elliot released multiple YouTube videos 1 week prior to April 26, 2014, showcasing his frustrations with life. However, he wouldn't release his final video until the day of the shooting, which puts into detail just exactly what he intended to do. Although he does not speak of his set plan in the initial videos, it goes to show how his enraged mindset grew with each day.
Oh, well, check it out. There's me. In all my fabulousness. Oh yeah. Elliot Roger. I am so awesome.
When Elliot made these videos, he likely didn't imagine where they might end up. In the last place, someone with a fragile ego would want them. Reddit. A participant located some of Elliot's videos, which many of the users described as disturbing and unpleasant to watch. one of them being a student at UCSB, who would then go on to confirm the deadly event to their fellow online peers. Many of the comments regarded Elliot's awkward mannerisms, some even predicting that he would go on to commit a terrible act. But others would shockingly side with Elliot, expressing their synonymous feelings of loneliness. Some of the accounts wished that they had warned police when they initially viewed the troubling content, but it was later revealed that the authorities had a chance to prevent the attack well before the memorable day.
This world is so twisted. It's so cruel. And you girls make it cruel. You girls have starved me of and enjoyment and pleasure for my entire youth. You've taken 8 years away from my life. 8 years I'll never get back.
Elliot's mother came across the uncomfortable videos soon after they were posted, while researching her son's name, fearing that he may have been transported to a nearby hospital. The worried mother hadn't heard from Elliot in 3 to 4 days, and was feeling very uneasy regarding his whereabouts. After finding the alarming content, she immediately contacted mental health officials, who alerted the local authorities. Officers then began to look for Elliot, and found him in his apartment before proceeding to ask about the videos. When conducting the check, police surmised Elliot to be an extremely polite young man that did not seem to be acting in a concerning manner. The 22-year-old convinced the authorities that he was completely fine, stating that he would not hurt himself or anyone else.
Right.
Compared to the bold presence Elliot portrays on camera, in reality, he was very withdrawn and quiet. While the officers may have thought Elliot to be a normal resident of the college town, they never would have guessed that they were talking to a cold-blooded killer who could have been stopped.
I mean, yes, I'm a shy, quiet guy, but I have good qualities to myself. I'm a gentleman. You know, I'm sophisticated. I'm polite. I have good values.
You know, let this be a lesson to law enforcement agencies that when those of us call you with concerns of other people's behavior, could you please take it a little bit more seriously? Please.
And I can be fun, too, if they just give me a chance to open up. But girls never give me a chance because they're evil and cruel like that.
Although Elliot talked about his plan for the day of retribution in his most infamous video, he left out the horrific agenda that was supposed to take place one day before the actual attack. This included his idea of kidnapping, tormenting, and killing his victims within his apartment. He admitted that in order to do so, he must eliminate his 2 housemates so he can utilize the space for his diabolical activity. Next, he schemed to lure people in one by one, to which he alluded that monstrous acts would be performed. Unsurprisingly, Elliot stated that he would torture those he deemed attractive first. He detailed how he would pour boiling water on their bare skin, along with flaying, stripping, and cutting their flesh before removing their heads. Finally, Elliot wanted to disperse the severed body parts amongst the city streets, while simultaneously executing his bloody rampage.
You will finally see that I am, in truth, the superior one. The true alpha male.
This guy had to be an Andrew Tate fan, right? Like, some of the shit coming out of his mouth is very much like shit that you would see on Andrew Tate's material.
To begin his day of terror, Elliot attacked and killed 19-year-old George Chin, a friend of his roommates. He left his body in the fetal position, surrounded by blood-ridden paper towels in the apartment bathroom. The autopsy report would identify that George had been stabbed approximately 94 times. Elliot then took out his rage on his 2 roommates, 20-year-olds Waihan Wong and Chen Hong. He attacked and killed them in one of the bedrooms, leaving their bodies face down with bed sheets and clothes over them. They too died from multiple stab wounds. Hours after taking the lives of his first 3 victims, Elliot took his evil plan to the streets of Isla Vista. It's unknown what exactly he was doing in the time between killing his roommates and when he was spotted next. He was apparently seen at approximately 4:40 in the afternoon on May 23, 2014, while boarding a local bus in Santa Barbara. Bizarrely, two young girls were also walking in front of him, visibly shaken up. They sat very close together, once in their seat, while Elliot sat directly behind them. He supposedly whispered, "Don't look back," while his hand rested in his backpack, suggesting a gun was in his possession. He was apparently sharply glaring at the pair and looked very angry. The girls seemed like they were being held hostage by Elliot and possibly intimidated into getting on the bus with him. Unfortunately, it's unclear as to what may have happened to the individuals before and after this. Around 9:15 p.m., Elliot made his way to the Alpha Phi house in Isla Vista, California, where he planned to kill every girl that resided in the well-known sorority. He knocked on the large wooden door for 3 minutes straight, but the tenants refused to answer. Luckily for the girls, a code was required to enter, something apparently Elliot didn't know. Although it was later discovered that he'd been stalking the sorority for quite some time. His inflated sense of self-esteem may have led him to think that someone would open the door for him without question. In his mind, he was an extremely attractive and well-dressed young man. Why wouldn't the girls open the door? Fortunately, the sorority sisters were able to dodge the determined Elliot, but others weren't so lucky.
Hey, one, I'm getting advised that we got multiple gunshot wounds on the corner of Del Norte and Segovia.
Del Norte and Segovia.
According to dramatic poetry and kitchen. 3 down on the corner of Segovia and Del Norte, and I need 3 ambulance ahead.
On the day of retribution, I am going to enter the hottest sorority house of UCSB.
About 30 seconds after the pounding at their front door stopped, the young women immediately heard gunshots ringing out from the nearby surroundings. When they peered out of their windows, they were horrified to see 3 young women laying along the sidewalk and grass. When police responded to the scene, they found 19-year-old Veronica Wise and 22-year-old Katie Cooper deceased, resulting from multiple gunshot wounds.
911, what is the status of your emergency?
We have a shooting on Embarcadero Del Norte.
Embarcadero, okay, where on Embarcadero Del Norte?
Goleta, Isla Vista.
No, I know. Where on, like, what block or what's the nearest cross street from there?
It is Segovia.
Okay.
Segovia, Embarcadero Del Norte.
Did you actually see the person shooting the gun, or did you see what it made contact with, or did you just hear
I saw
it?
the car.
You saw a car? Did it make contact with anybody?
Yeah.
Who?
We have 3 girls, 3 women.
They got shot?
Yes.
Both girls were part of the Tri-Delta sorority at UCSB and were simply walking to their intended destinations before being viciously shot and killed by Elliot. The third gunshot victim could be heard yelling, "I'm going to die," repeatedly while speaking to her mother on the phone, but it was later reported that she survived the horrific ordeal. Next, at approximately 9:27 p.m., officers responded to numerous gunshots being heard from the area of Embarcadero Del Norte and Pardal Road. After arriving, police spotted a couple of local college kids standing on the corner and asked about the tumultuous sounds. The students claimed that it was merely fireworks, but the officers would soon come to understand that it was far from anything celebratory.
Humanity is a disgusting, wretched, depraved species. If I had it in my power, I would stop at nothing to reduce every...
We do have the death penalty in California. Not that I'm in favor of it, but I would be shocked if this kid did not get the death penalty or get gunned down by police. I have no idea what's going to happen here.
every single one of you to mountains of skulls and rivers of blood.
After speaking with the college kids, police noticed a black BMW parked near the Isla Vista Deli, a local diner. Seconds later, they identified a young male frantically running to the vehicle before fleeing eastbound on Pardal. Little did the officers know the man would turn out to be Elliot Roger, the prime murder suspect in this harrowing case.
911, what's the address of the emergency? Your guy thinks somebody else is on the line. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay. Were you injured? Okay, where are you? Somebody else's. We're at Ivy Deli in Isle Vista. Okay, you're at Ivy Deli and somebody shot? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, I understand. Okay, I'm getting help started. Do you know how many people are hurt? I don't know. Hello? Yes? 34. Okay, I'll let you talk to him.
Soon the police heard screaming from inside of the deli and began making their way to the traumatized bystanders. Inside, they found a young man profusely bleeding while lying on the ground with a single gunshot wound to his chest. He would eventually be identified as 20-year-old Christopher Martinez, a student at UCSB. Initially, it was reported that Christopher could be seen breathing when police first arrived, but soon one of the officers provided CPR as his breaths were no longer visible. Unfortunately, the first aid was to no avail. But Elliot's murderous rampage was far from over.
What is up? Where's Ivy Deli, right? 14 medic, so 3 Ivy Deli, got a gunshot wound.
Elliot continued driving around the town of Isla Vista while simultaneously shooting the civilians and hitting them with his car, where he injured multiple people. During this time, numerous police officers responded. Some were forced to engage in shootouts with the killer.
I was shot at from a Skiddle BMW, westbound from Alabama down. CPR in progress. Victor, we got another gunshot. Victim at shots fired.
The first shootout took place on Del Playa Road, where Elliot fired his weapon at one of the authorities from his BMW. Taking shelter between 2 parked cars, the officer was forced to shoot back in defense, but was unable to.
If you're watching the map, I think we're only at number 5, right? And off to the left of the screen, there's at least 10 places. Oh my God, even.
Stop him. Next, Elliot traveled along Sabato Tarde Road while shooting his handgun out of his window at passing citizens. Fearing for their lives and those around, multiple officers amongst the area opened fire on the car, with only 1 round confirmed to have entered the vehicle. The bullet wounded Elliot on his upper left thigh, but unfortunately could not bring the ambush to a stop.
All those popular kids who live such lives of hedonistic pleasure while I've had to rot in loneliness for all these years. They've all looked down upon me every time I tried to go out and join them. They've all treated me like a mouse. Well, now, I will be a god compared to you. You will all be animals. You are animals.
The horrific incident would eventually come to an end at approximately 9:35 p.m., when Elliot subsequently crashed his vehicle into the back of a parked black Jeep on Del Playa Road. Officers rushed the scene, where they found an additional victim that had been thrown off of his bike after being hit with Elliot's car. The authorities placed him in handcuffs, unsure if the person had been involved with the shooting. Quickly, they established that the individual was an innocent victim and immediately provided medical treatment for his wounds.
I am so godlike.
The shooting lasted a harrowing 8 minutes, but in that time, the community of Isla Vista would be drastically altered in the most sickening way. Police immediately began to investigate how someone could commit such an atrocity, and eventually found a shocking piece of information.
My name's Sean Kevin. I'm program manager at Ivy Secretary Apartment. And I know something's going on in Ivy. I just got an email from one of the residents, and it's like really disturbing. And it's like,
okay, there's been a shooting in Ivy.
No, I understand that, but I got an email from a resident, and it's like 141 pages long, and it says like the life of Elliot Rodger.
Okay.
And at the end, it talks about killing people.
Okay, yeah, we actually have somebody else. What's your name?
Following the shooting, police once again made their way to Elliot's apartment, where they uncovered the bodies of his roommates Wei-Han Wong and Chen Hong, and their friend George Chen. The The horror continued to unfold as law enforcement searched Elliot's room, where they found disturbing pieces of evidence, indicating that he had been planning the attack for an extensive amount of time. This included a small sledgehammer, one 18-inch blade machete, a zombie killer fixed blade knife, a folding knife, lottery tickets, a book entitled The Art of Seduction, various handgun cases, a printout of his 137-page email.
Wait a minute, I thought it was 141 pages. And what do the lottery tickets have to do with anything? Like, is he... I mean... What? I'm very confused by that being...
Personal journals, a hand-drawn picture of a person being stabbed by multiple knives, along with several additional items. The journal looked like it had been torn apart, but the latest entry on May 23, 2014 read, "I had to tear some pages out because I feared my intentions would be discovered. I taped them back together as fast as I could. This is it. In 1 hour I will have my revenge on this cruel world. I hate you all. Die."
Wow, look at that.
Additionally, one of Elliot's button-up shirts and a pair of denim jeans were entangled in his bed sheets. A majority of the clothing was suffused in blood, most likely the outfit that Elliot wore while killing his roommates and their friend. Officers then noticed lengthy slashes and cuts that had been made to the bed, which suggests that Elliot may have been practicing how to use the deadly weapon before turning it on his first 3 victims. But most eerily of all, authorities discovered Elliot's computer resting atop his sheets, open with the words, "Your video has been uploaded," written across the screen. The ominous video would come to be Elliot's final and most notorious YouTube log, detailing the chilling and unimaginable plan to enact his revenge on the people of Isla Vista, entitled Elliot Rogers' Retribution. Unfortunately, these items were found much too late, after Elliot had already carried out the truly evil act. To this day, many consider Elliot to be a glorious incel hero, but to most, he is known as a cold-blooded killer. Some claim that Elliot has provided them with inspiration, including the mass murderer Alec Manassian, who killed 11 people in 2018. Unfortunately, Elliot is still highly regarded as a hero to his cult following. Before authorities were able to ensure that Elliot faced the necessary consequences, he had completed his structured plan. Within Elliot's car, police found a Sig Sauer pistol, several loaded magazines, and a mix of unidentified prescription drugs. They also discovered Elliot's iPhone 4, containing 200 selfies, along with his infamous vlogs. The autopsy would later confirm that Elliot ended his life. But most would argue that the so-called incel hero took the easy way out, while so many had to endure the worst kind of suffering and pain. Within the short period of time, he would go on to injure 14 people and viciously murder 6 innocent victims.
Do you know how much misery you've caused me? I'm such a nice guy. Why won't you give me a chance?
Okay, so I guess he, I'm trying to hit the thing where I pause at. That's not working. Okay. So he committed suicide, it sounds like. He more than likely he would have gotten the death penalty, but at least the families would have been able to have that justice. That's the coward's way out, when they do it that way. Kill a bunch of people and then kill themselves. I'm not trying to say that suicide is cowardly, because I know that people who do commit suicide are generally doing it because they're in so much pain. But obviously that's not why he did this. It's this guy wanted to cause pain to other people and not have to face the consequences of it. Wow. I think, honestly, I mean, obviously he had all kinds of mental issues that he was dealing with, but he might have had a better shot of getting dates if he hadn't been putting so much crazy ass crap online. You can't come across as a scary person online and expect that people won't do some research on you. And you can't, you can't just have look mad all the time either. Like you can't be mad all the time and expect that people want to talk to you. You can't give off creeper vibes. Period. Can't give off creeper vibes. And if you don't know how to change that about yourself, then you need to start seeking some therapy, figuring out how to do it.